I just picked up an amazing piece of technology that I think is going to change the game for any DIYer, especially if you're used to using those old-fashioned stud finders, which can be anything but accurate. This stud's never hard to find. Maybe not, but let's take a deep dive today into this amazing new piece of technology. So I've covered a couple of stud finders on this channel in the past, but this new device takes the figuring out what's behind your wall to an entirely different level. So let's not waste any more time and dive into what's in this tiny little box. This is the Walabot DIY2. Let's give it a quick look. So there's a couple of different bundles you can get with this tool, but in my case, I got the premium bundle, which retails for about $250, but if you're just interested in the tool itself, it's less than $200, which may seem like a lot of dough, but I think you'll understand once we dive into this tool. So let's take a look at what comes inside the box. In my bundle, I got 4 items: a canvas bag, the visual stud finder itself, some magnets, and a carrying case. And if we open up the stud finder box, we're just going to find 3 items: a quick start guide, a charger, as well as the Walabot stud finder. And the zippered carrying case is not only perfect to hold the stud finder itself, but all the accessories. And the final box contains 2 circular magnets that you attach both to your phone and the Walabot with some 3M tape. And with the 2 magnets attached, you can see how the Walabot attaches directly to your phone. And just like that, you're ready to set up this tool for use. Let's take a look at how that works. Setup really couldn't be easier, especially with that quick start guide. After downloading the Walabot DIY app, it's going to guide you through the entire process. You simply open the app, turn the stud finder on, scan a QR code, and it's going to guide you step by step by connecting your phone to the Walabot tool. And with everything linked up, it's going to take you through the process of calibration. Let's take a look at how that works. Calibration is really about taking the tool and rotating it in a counterclockwise direction so that it can get a readout of what's behind that wall. And this just takes about 10 seconds to get an idea of what type of wall you're working with. And just like that, you're ready to start scanning your wall to find out what's behind it. So it really is a quick process to get this thing out of the box and get started working right away. But in order to get a complete understanding of this visual stud finder, I need to build a false wall. So I'll quickly slap together this false wall with just some 2x4s and some drywall. Then it's just a matter of drilling out some holes in this false wall so that we can place the materials in there so that we can get a readout. Now obviously this wall isn't anything fancy. It's just a 2x4 structure with some drywall on either side, with the back side being able to be removed so that we can see what's going on inside. But now that this false wall is made, let's do a few tests to see how this stud finder works. In this case, I want to test out 5 different types of material to see if it can recognize them. And for this test, we're going to be using an iron pipe, some plastic plumbing, a stud, some metal flashing, as well as some wiring. So let's first test this thing out on one of the most common things you might find in your wall, a standard 2x4. So I'll take our false wall, remove the back panel, and place our 2x4 inside that wall. Then with our wall reassembled and the back panel in position, we can turn our stud finder on and begin the calibration process. And as we place that Walabot on the wall, you can see it quickly picks up that stud. And if we look at the very bottom, it even tells you exactly where that stud center is, which will absolutely help you out for simple tasks like hanging pictures. But that's easy, right? Any stud finder can do that, but let's try something a little bit more difficult, like some electrical wire. And here you'll once again see that the Walabot immediately picks up that wire. You'll also notice that the appearance of that wire is different than the stud we just took a look at, and it even labels it as pipe or wire. Since we're talking about pipe and wire, let's take a look at our next item, which is some metal pipe. And you can see that the Walabot immediately picks up that pipe and labels it as pipe or wire right on the screen, immediately removing any possibility of a disaster by drilling directly into your plumbing. But these days, unless you live in an older house, that's not the type of plumbing that's running through your walls. Let's check out the next type of plumbing, which is the plastic plumbing. And to make this as realistic as possible, I filled both of these pipes up with water so that the tool could recognize the pipes. And just like before, the Walabot immediately picks up those pipes and labels it right on the screen. The last type of material I'd like to check out with this tool is that metal flashing. This will give you a quick idea of what metal wire protectors or metal studs will look like behind your wall. And here you'll get a look at what that looks like. As we place the Walabot over that metal flashing, you can see it reads out as a metal stud. So really, anytime you get that metal pipe wire readout, this should be a sign to you that this is a no-go situation for your drill. But what if you're a pro and you just want more of a radar readout of what's going on behind your wall? Well, surprisingly, this stud finder also has an expert mode. Let's take a look at that. If we go back to the main screen, you can see that there's an expert mode right here on the bottom. If we press that, you can see it gives a radar readout. This readout gives you what reminds me of a heat map of anything that's behind your wall. Not to mention, if we look below that radar, you can see it's also telling you what type of material you're looking at. And that radar is even sensitive enough to recognize movement, so you could actually tell if there's pests in your wall. So as you can see, this is truly cutting-edge technology, but what about the specs for this item? First off, this stud finder is compatible with both Android as well as iOS, so there really shouldn't be a phone that this thing doesn't work with. And you can really dive pretty deep with this tool, having a read depth of up to 4 inches or 10 centimeters. And it's really only made for drywall and plywood walls. So if you're working with plaster, concrete, tiles, bricks, or metal back walls, this isn't your tool. But I think we can all agree this thing's got some amazing technology, and this was a heck of a lot of fun to check out. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I had a lot of fun, and if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, and share this video, as it really does help. And if you haven't checked out my website, go to FlynnDoggWoodwork.com. There you can find all sorts of fun woodworking accessories, like all the t-shirts that I wear in my videos. And I'll be sure to leave some links in the description below, so if you're interested in this Walabot, you can go check it out there. And if you'd like to support the channel further, check out my channel memberships, where you can get early access to all my videos as well as one member video a week. Until next time, take care as always.